Welcome to another new tutorial about the Photoshop toolbar and tools in the latest 2026 version. Every year, Adobe releases a new version of Photoshop with multiple updates for users. This is so dynamic that we are getting new elements with the refined version 27. Okay, let's talk about the necessary tools we need for professional photo editing. Photoshop 2026 contains nearly 70 tools in its main toolbar. But we don't have to use all of these. So, let's get started with the necessary tools here. Suppose you don't have the toolbar in your Photoshop interface. So first, you have to go to the window from the menu bar. Here, you will get the Tools option downwards. You can connect or set it anywhere you want. You can double or single it with this arrow icon. As you can see, here are many tools in the bar. They are mostly kept in groups or nested. So we will keep the necessary tools we need and bring the rest in as extra tools. Click on the Edit toolbar. Here are many tools listed. You can see in the left side of the Edit toolbar panel, you can see here are two options: Toolbar on the left and Extra Tools on the right. We are keeping the necessary tools in the toolbar, and for the unnecessary tools, dragging and dropping them to the Extra Tools panel. These are not that necessary for our work. If the selection is complete, click the Done button. Let's start with the Move tool from the toolbar. What is the function of the Move tool? The Move tool primarily repositions layers, selections, and guides in Photoshop. You can also call it a handler for moving objects from here to there in the canvas. With the Move tool, we can move any object or subject easily. You can see here. You can also move objects after grouping layers. The next tool we will talk about is the Marquee tool from the toolbar. This tool is found at the top of the toolbar and enables rectangular or elliptical selections, often called marching ants. Rectangular and elliptical marquee tools are nested in the Marquee tool group. We can create shapes, whether they're rectangular or round. We can give the shape a color if we want. Also, we can create many elements by changing the shape with these tools and can apply any color to them. Let's move to the object selection. Quick Selection, Magic Wand, these tools are mostly used in photo editing. You will find the Object Selection tool at the top of these three. Select the area or object territory you want. This will automatically select the object inside the selection. Now select the Quick Selection tool. Adjust the brush size according to the object you want to select. Then click on the object. This will select the object. The last one is the Magic Wand tool. To select the object, you have to click the surroundings of the object. Then right-click and click on Select Inverse. Then select the Lasso tool to make the object selection precise. Use the Lasso tool selection in the parts where it is needed. The Crop tool is another necessary tool in Photoshop. You can't trim or exclude the boundaries of your image with the Crop tool. Let's see how it is done. In terms of the Crop tool, you will see an option named Delete Cropped Pixels. When you commit the crop after enabling the check, all pixels outside the new canvas will be permanently deleted from the file. And what if you leave unchecked the Delete Cropped Pixels while cropping the image? When you commit the crop, the pixels outside the boundary are hidden but not deleted. You can reactivate the Crop tool later to move or expand the image and bring back the original area. Eyedropper Tool. What is the function of this tool? The Eyedropper tool in Photoshop is used to sample colors from an image to set them as the active foreground or background color for precise color matching and editing. We can choose a specific color from the image with the Eyedropper tool. If you double-click any area, the color of that particular area will be selected as the foreground or background color. Let's talk about retouching tools. Retouching can make an ordinary image an extraordinary visual. Let's see the function of retouching tools. We are starting with the Spot Healing Brush tool. Before that, we should duplicate the background layer. Then, I will choose the brush size and hardness. Let's apply the brush over the full object. Then, the object will be retouched or vanish. The Remove tool is used to remove any spot or object from the image. Select the object area with the brush and press Enter, and it will be removed. The Healing Brush tool is another way to retouch a photo. This tool is designed to correct imperfections by blending pixels from a source area with the area you want to fix. The patch tool is used to repair or replace large areas or objects of an image by blending a selection with pixels from another part of the document, like this. You have seen half of the necessary tools in Photoshop. Another one is the brush tool and the mixer brush tool. You can brush your images or mix colors with these tools. Select the brush tool from the toolbar. We can choose the color for the brush by setting the foreground color. There are millions of shades you can select. Then we can choose the brush size, softness, and hardness to optimize our work. Then we can draw with the tool. We can bring variation for the color from the foreground color with the color picker. Look, we can select any color we want with the same brush. Here is the other color. We can use limitless color if we want. Then we have the mixer brush tool. With this tool, we can blend multiple colors on our canvas. A little bit ago, we drew some color lines with the brush tool. We are now mixing them with the mixer brush tool. Isn't this fascinating? You can use more engaging tools in Photoshop to make your image pixel perfect. Let's talk about them. The clone stamp tool is used to retouch an image from a source. First, we have to copy the background. We have to be concerned about the opacity and flow while retouching. If you want a short overview, you can go through this video link. Here, we will select the current and below from the sample box. As we are retouching with the source, we will select the source from the surroundings. It is just copying the surroundings to the determined area. Then we have the eraser tool. We can bring back the previous state of the image with the eraser tool. Look how. There are two types of gradients in the gradient tool. These are the gradient, also known as the basic gradient, and the other one is the classic gradient. In the basic gradient, there are three more types of gradients nested. There are the color gradient, the transparent gradient, and the black and white gradient. There are more gradient types existing here that we can use. Let's move to the classic gradient. We can demonstrate this gradient in the image in different ways, from left, right, top, or bottom. Photoshop is a cluster of tools for handling an image in different ways. You can edit your photo for various purposes with Photoshop. There are more tools you have to know about. Now it's the blur tool. With the blur tool, we can soften the areas where it is showing noise. Sometimes we need these types of edits in our images. Here is how it is being done, the work of blur tool. Then we have the smudge tool. We use the smudge tool to smooth the distorted part of the images. Here is how we can make it soft and smooth in the notched areas. If we come down a bit, we will get the dodge and burn tool. We can brighten the dark areas with the dodge tool, like I'm doing it here, and we can darken the bright areas with the burn tool. This is so easy to do. We use the dodge and burn tool to balance the dark and light of the image. If you've ever heard the name of Photoshop, obviously you have also heard about the pen tool. This is the most important tool to remove background from an object. Let's see more about it. We can select any specific area with the pen tool by selecting the path with it. We have to complete the edges to make it cover. This is how we can separate a specific area from the image. The text type tool is used to write something on the image. We can select various fonts from the character panel. We can select the style or model of the text. Then the font size too. We can make the text bold, italic, and align the text. We can also give space between the lines horizontally and vertically. Here are many options you can use. If you want to write something on your image, you have to be here to write it and optimize the text area. Let's see how it works. First, we are selecting the text tool. Then we are selecting the color for the text. Now we are selecting the font size of the text. Next, we are selecting the style, whether it's regular or italic. Then we are selecting the fonts from this panel. We can select any fonts from here and write whatever we want. This is how we can write text in our images. Here is another text tool named the vertical type tool. Here is how it looks. It will show you the vertical line instead of the horizontal line. We have almost completed 2/3 of the necessary tools. These tools are really necessary and useful for image editing from basic to advanced levels. Let's talk the rest of the tools. Let's select the rectangular tool from the shape tool. We are creating the shape where we want to place it. Then we are changing the color from the fill here. We will get uncountable colors that we can use to fill the shape. Then we are having the ellipse tool from the shape tool. This is a circular selection we can make. Then, in the same way, we can fill any color into the selected shape. Then we can give a stroke below the fill option. We also can make the stroke colorful. After that, we have the hand tool. We can use the tool to move the image around the Photoshop interface. I'm moving it from here to there. We got the zoom tool. This is to zoom in on the image. If we click the cursor on a specific area of the image, it will make that area zoomed in. Here are all the tools in one frame. You have to use these in various editing cases. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe to the channel for more necessary Photoshop tips and editing. See you in the next video.